Captain Taehyun Kim stood on the bridge of the Earth exploration vessel, Resilience, looking at the stars. 5 years in deep space had not made the sight any less amazing. Earth seemed very far away now. "Captain, you should get some rest," said Ju Park, the ship's science officer. Her eyes were tired but alert. "Soon," said Taehyun. "Any news from home?" "The usual messages. They're 3 months old by now." The Resilience was the first human ship to travel this far. Its crew of 30 had been chosen from the best minds on Earth. Their mission was simple but big: explore beyond our solar system and find out what was waiting for humans in the stars. No one expected they would find anything so soon. The alarm sounded loud and clear. Officer Han at the communication station jumped in his seat. "Captain, we're picking up a signal. It's not one of ours." The bridge went quiet. Taehyun moved to Han's station and looked at the screen. "Is it a natural signal?" Ju was already checking her instruments. "No, sir. It's artificial. Someone made it." "Someone not human," said Taehyun quietly. "Can we tell what it means?" "It repeats in a pattern. I think it's a distress call." Taehyun didn't hesitate. "Dosung, change course. Let's find out who's calling for help." 3 hours later, the Resilience slowed down near a strange sight. A ship, clearly not built by human hands, drifted in space. It was about half the size of their vessel, with smooth curves that reminded Taehyun of sea creatures. "It's damaged," said Ju, looking at the scan results. "Something hit it hard on its left side." "Any life signs?" "One. Very weak." Taehyun called the ship's doctor and security team. "We're going over there. Ju, you're with me." The team put on their spacesuits and crossed to the alien ship through a docking tube. Inside, the air was breathable but thin. Strange markings covered the walls, and the corridors were taller and wider than needed for humans. They found the survivor in what looked like the control room. It was unlike anything they had seen before. Tall and thin with scaly skin that shimmered with a blue-green color. Its face had 4 eyes and a small mouth. It was clearly hurt, breathing in short, sharp gasps. The ship's doctor, Subin, bent down to check on the alien. "I don't know its biology, but I think it's dying." The alien's eyes opened wider. To everyone's shock, it spoke. "You understand my words." Its voice was raspy but clear. "Yes," said Taehyun, kneeling down. "We hear you." Universal translator. "Working then. Good. I am Rex, diplomat of the Culinary. Please, help." The team carefully moved Rex to the Resilience. In the medical bay, Subin worked for hours to save the alien's life, guessing what might help based on its reactions. 2 days later, Rex was sitting up, talking to the amazed crew. "We had no idea there were other intelligent beings so close to our system," said Taehyun. Rex made a sound like soft laughter. "Your species is new to space travel. The Galactic Confederation has existed for thousands of your years. 33 species work together for trade and protection." "Protection from what?" asked Ju. Rex's 4 eyes blinked slowly. "My ship was not damaged by accident. I was attacked. By the Voracians." "Who are they?" asked Taehyun. "The galaxy's deadliest hunters. They adapt quickly, learn fast, and show no mercy. They have destroyed entire worlds." Rex looked at each human face around him. "And now, by finding me, you have caught their attention too." Taehyun felt a chill run down his spine. Humanity's first contact with alien life had just become much more complicated. "We need to get you to your people," he said. "And we need to know everything about these Voracians." Rex nodded. "Yes, because if they find your world unprepared, Earth will be their next hunting ground." The sounds of battle echoed through the corridors of the Resilience. Security Chief Juno led a team of 6 against the Voracian borders. They had set up a defensive position at a narrow point in the ship. "Here they come," Juno said quietly. The first Voration appeared around the corner. It was huge, nearly 8 feet tall, with a body like a praying mantis, but covered in thick, natural armor. Its 4 arms ended in sharp claws, and its eyes glowed yellow in the dim emergency lighting. The security team fired their weapons. Energy blasts hit the creature, but it kept coming. 2 more Vorations followed behind it. "Fall back," ordered Chunho. His team moved backward in an orderly way, still firing. In the engine room, Minji was working frantically. Her burned hand throbbed with pain, but she ignored it. "Captain, I have an idea," she called over the comm. "The Vorations evolved on a world with thin air and low pressure, right?" Tahian's voice came back tense. "According to Rex, yes. I can redirect our life support systems, flood the affected sections with high-pressure, oxygen-rich air. It won't hurt us much, but it might slow them down." "Do it." On the bridge, Rex watched the ship's internal sensors with Captain Tahian and Juwu. The aliens' 4 eyes were wide with fear. "Your people fight well, but the Vorations will not stop. They never stop." Tahian didn't look away from the screen. "Neither do we." In the corridor, Shunho and his team were now backed against a sealed door. 3 of his people were hurt. The Vorations moved forward slowly, clearly enjoying the hunt. "We can't hold them much longer," Junho reported. The lead Voration spoke, its voice a clicking hiss. "Small prey, weak prey. You will make good sport." Junho's response was a shot that hit the creature's eye, making it shriek in pain. "Not as weak as you think," he said. Suddenly, alarms blared. Minji's voice came over the speaker. "Pressure change coming in 10 seconds. Take a deep breath and hold on." The humans quickly drew deep breaths. The air around them became thick and heavy. It felt like being underwater, but they could still function. The Vorations reacted very differently. They began to shake and stagger. Their movements slowed, and they made horrible choking sounds. "Now," shouted Juno. His team rushed forward, attacking the weakened Vorations. On the bridge, Rex was also struggling to breathe, but not as badly as the boarders. "What did you do?" he gasped. "Minji changed the air," said Taeyeon, speaking slowly and carefully in the heavy atmosphere. "Made it like Earth's air was millions of years ago. Rich in oxygen, high pressure. Uncomfortable for us, but terrible for them." Through the ship's cameras, they watched as the security team drove the Vorations back toward their boarding point. The lead Voration, still dangerous despite its distress, killed one of Chunho's team with a desperate slash. But the humans kept pushing forward. "Impossible," whispered Rex. "No species stands against Vorations in direct combat." In the engine room, Minji smiled through her discomfort. The plan was working. She opened another set of controls and spoke into her comm. "Shuno, get your team around the corner. I'm going to give our visitors a special goodbye." When the last human was clear, Minji opened the airlock near the Voration boarding tube. The sudden decompression pulled the weakened hunters out into space. The Voration ship, seeing its boarding party defeated, disengaged and moved away fast. On the bridge, the air slowly returned to normal. Rex stared at the humans in wonder. "You drove them off. No one drives off Vorations." Taehyun looked at the retreating enemy ship on the screen. "They thought we were prey. They were wrong." Juwoo looked up from her station. "Captain, they're sending a message to their homeworld." "What does it say?" asked Taehyun. Juwoo's face was serious. "It says, found new species. Dangerous. Returning with information." Taehyun nodded. "This isn't over." "No," said Rex. "It's just beginning." The sky burned red. Massive ships hung in space like wounded predators, their metal skin scared and smoking. Sumho gripped the controls of his fighter, watching the chaos around him. This was no longer just a battle. This was a hunt, and humans were now the hunters. Yang He's voice crackled over the communication system. All units, concentrate fire on the central mass. These things are learning. We can't give them time to adapt." The Void Rippers had never experienced this before. For countless generations, they had been the ultimate predators. Entire civilizations would collapse at their approach. Planets would be stripped bare. Their regenerative abilities made them almost immortal, their hunting intelligence unmatched. But not today. In the command center, Yunji watched the battle unfold. Her earlier psychological warfare had done more than just confuse the Void Rippers. It had broken something fundamental in their nature. They were no longer the perfect hunters. They were becoming prey. "Look at them," Wu Jin said, pointing at the holographic display. "They're scared." It was true. The Void Rippers' movements had changed. No longer did they approach with calculated precision. Now they moved erratically, almost desperately. Each ship seemed to be trying to protect itself, abandoning the collective hunting strategy that had made them so deadly. Sun Ho's fighter wove between massive alien vessels. He had stopped thinking like a pilot. He was thinking like a hunter. Every move was a calculated risk. Every decision meant to push the Void Rippers further into panic. "Target their communication nodes," he called out. "Break their connection." The human fleet moved like a living thing. Each ship seemed to know exactly where to be, how to move. They were no longer fighting defensively. They were attacking with a fury that surprised even the Galactic observers watching from a safe distance. One Void Ripper mothership began to break apart. Its massive hull split open, revealing internal structures that no other species had ever seen. Yanhee's Marines were already preparing boarding teams. They would study this creature, learn from it, turn its own biology into a weapon. "We're not just fighting," Yunji said to herself. "We're evolving." The battle had become something more than a simple conflict. It was a moment of transformation. Humans were showing the galaxy what they were truly capable of. Every trick, every unexpected move, every moment of pure human unpredictability was crushing the Void Ripper's spirit. Sun Ho saw an opening. He pushed his fighter to its absolute limits. The ship screamed around him, its systems warning of potential failure. But he didn't care. This was the moment that would define everything. His weapons found the weak point in the Void Ripper's defense. A single, perfectly placed shot that seemed impossible. But humans had been doing the impossible for generations. The mothership exploded. Not with a clean, precise explosion, but with a wild, chaotic burst that seemed to capture the very essence of human warfare. It was messy. It was unpredictable. It was beautiful. In that moment, something changed in the galaxy. The Void Rippers, the most feared predators in known space, realized they were no longer the top hunters. Humans had claimed that title. Yang He's voice came over the communication system, calm and clear. Mission accomplished. But everyone knew this was just the beginning. The Resilience limped through space, its engines running at half power. The battle with the Voracians had caused serious damage, but the ship was still moving forward. After 2 weeks of repairs and careful flying, a new light appeared in the distance. "There it is," said Rex, pointing to a bright spot on the main screen. Nexus Station. As they got closer, the humans gasped. Nexus Station was enormous, a wheel-shaped structure spinning slowly in space. Lights covered its surface, and hundreds of ships moved around it like bees around a hive. "It's huge," said Captain Taeyun. "Home to over 1 million beings from 33 species," said Rex proudly. "The heart of the Confederation in this sector." The ship's comm system crackled. A voice spoke in a strange language, then switched to perfect English. "Unidentified vessel. This is Nexus Station Control. State your business." "This is Rex of the Culinary. I am returning aboard a ship from a new species. We request emergency docking and medical assistance." There was a long pause. "Rex, you were reported missing. And did you say new species?" "Yes, I was rescued by humans from the planet Earth, and they have fought the Voracians and survived." Another, longer pause followed. Granted. Proceed to Emergency Dock 7. As the Resilience approached the station, the crew could see other ships moving aside to let them pass. Many slowed down, as if their pilots were staring at the human vessel. "We're causing quite a stir," said Juwu. "No one has seen humans before," replied Rex, "and no one defeats Forations." The ship docked smoothly at the designated port. When the doors opened, a group of alien officials was waiting. They were a mix of species, some looking almost human, others completely different. All stared openly at the human crew. A tall, blue-skinned alien stepped forward. "I am Station Director Caleb. Rex, we thought you were dead." "I would be without these humans," said Rex. "They need medical care for their wounded and repairs for their ship." The next hours were a blur of activity. The injured crew members were taken to the station's medical center. The other humans found themselves surrounded by curious aliens asking endless questions. Science Officer Juwu was invited to the station's biology lab, where alien scientists examined her with fascination. "Your heart rate is so fast," said one green-skinned scientist, "and your muscles are so dense." "That's normal for humans," explained Juwu. "And you say your world has almost 20 times more species than most Confederation planets?" asked another scientist. "Yes, Earth has millions of different life forms." The scientists talked excitedly among themselves. One finally turned to Juwu. "We think we understand now. Your world is what we would call a crucible planet. High gravity, extreme climate ranges, diverse pathogens, multiple predator species. These conditions created your remarkable adaptability." Meanwhile, Captain Taeyun met with the Confederation Council. 12 representatives from different species sat around a large table. "Captain Kim," said Director Caleb, "your encounter with the Forations is very concerning. They have conquered 3 worlds in the past cycle. No one has successfully fought them off before." "We got lucky," said Taeyun modestly. A reptilian council member shook his head. "Luck does not defeat Forations. Something about your species interests us greatly, and scares you a little," added another council member, whose body was mostly transparent. "Should we be scared?" asked Taeyun. "That depends," said Caleb. "The Voratian fleet is growing. Their next target is unknown, but after your encounter, they might come to Earth." Taeyun finished the thought. "Yes, a world they now see as a threat. A world that is completely unprepared for space warfare." Taeyun stood straighter. "Then we need to prepare my world. And quickly. The Confederation has strict rules about sharing technology with new species," said one. The massive chamber was silent. Representatives from 1,000 different alien species waited. This was not just another meeting. This was history. Haeyun stepped forward. She was small, almost fragile-looking. But everyone in the room knew better. Humans were not what they seemed. "We are here," she began, her voice clear and strong, "to discuss humanity's place in the galaxy." The Galactic Confederation had called this meeting after months of debate. Humans had done something no one thought possible. They had not just survived against the Void Rivers. They had defeated them, studied them, learned from them. On the giant screen behind Haeyun, images played. Scenes from the battle. The chaos. The impossible victory. Alien species watched, many seeing these moments for the first time. A Croxian ambassador shifted in his seat. His species had lost 3 entire planets to the Void Rivers. Now he watched humans explain how they turned the most deadly predators in the universe into a learning opportunity. "We do not seek conquest," Haeyun continued. "We seek understanding." But everyone knew the truth. Humans were dangerous, not because they were violent, but because they were curious, adaptable, unpredictable. Wu Jin sat in the back of the chamber. He had planned the strategies. Yunji, who had broken the Void Ripper's mental systems, stood nearby. Sung Ho, the pilot who had delivered the killing blow, was also present. The screen showed their research, New medical technologies developed from Void Ripper biology, advanced space travel systems, communication networks that could predict and adapt faster than any known technology. In our history, Heyoon said, we faced impossible challenges. We survived ice ages. We survived plagues. We survived our own destructive impulses. The Void Rippers were just another challenge. Alien species exchanged looks. Some looked afraid. Some looked impressed. Most looked worried. A Xylarian diplomat spoke. His species was known for its advanced technology. How, he asked, did you turn a total defeat into an opportunity? Heyoon smiled. That is what humans do, she said simply. The meeting was more than a diplomatic event. It was a warning. Humans were not going to be pushed around. They were not going to be underestimated again. Outside the chamber, human ships waited. They were different now. Adaptive, intelligent, almost alive. Built from lessons learned fighting the most dangerous predators in the galaxy. Jae-sung, the lead diplomat, watched Heyoon speak. He knew what was happening. This was not just about the Void Rippers. This was about humanity's future. We are not conquerors, Heyoon said, her final words echoing through the chamber. We are explorers. We are learners. We are survivors. The vote was unanimous. Humanity would be given full membership in the Galactic Confederation. But everyone knew the real decision had been made on the battlefield, when humans had shown the galaxy exactly who they were. Not just a species, but a force of nature. As the meeting ended, alien representatives looked at each other. They had expected to discuss humanity's place in the galaxy. Instead, they had been reminded that humans would decide their own place. The galaxy would never be the same. 2 weeks had passed since the Resilience changed course for the nearest Confederation outpost. Rex, now much healthier, walked the corridors of the human ship with growing interest. He stopped by the engine room, where engineer Minji Lee was fixing a coolant pipe. She worked quickly despite the hot steam around her. "Doesn't that hurt your skin?" Rex asked. Minji looked up and wiped sweat from her face. "It's not comfortable, but the job needs to be done." As she turned back to her work, her hand slipped and touched a hot pipe. She pulled back with a sharp cry, her palm badly burned. "You need a doctor," Rex said, alarmed. Minji shook her head. "No time. I need to finish this first." She wrapped a wet cloth around her hand and kept working. Rex watched in silent wonder. Later, in the ship's dining area, Rex sat with Captain Taeyeon. "Your engineer, Minji." She was hurt, but kept working. "That's what we do," Taeyeon said simply. "The ship comes first. On my world, such a burn would take days of healing." She's already using her hand again. Taeyeon smiled. "Humans heal pretty fast. We've had to." "Tell me about Earth," Rex said, leaning forward. "It's a tough place in many ways. Different temperatures, from burning hot to freezing cold. Storms, earthquakes, floods. We've learned to live with all of it." Rex's 4 eyes blinked slowly. Most Confederation species evolved on much gentler worlds. The Kelinari, my people, come from a planet with almost no seasons and very stable weather. "That sounds nice," said Taeyeon. "Perhaps, but it didn't prepare us for the wider galaxy like your world prepared you." Rex paused. "I've been watching your crew. They sleep only a third of each day cycle. They work through pain. They eat strange plants and animals without fear. That's just being human." "No," said Rex firmly. "That is being remarkable." Taeyeon was about to respond when Security Chief Junho Kang's voice came through the speaker. "Captain, to the bridge. We've detected a ship approaching fast. It's not Confederation design." Taeyeon and Rex rushed to the bridge. On the main screen, a dark shape was moving toward them. It had sharp angles and looked like a predatory insect. "Voratian scout ship," said Rex, his voice tight with fear. "They followed my trail." "Battle stations," ordered Taeyeon. "All crew to emergency positions." As alarms sounded throughout the ship, Rex grabbed Taeyeon's arm. Captain, you don't understand. You cannot fight them. The Voracians are evolved from the top predators of their world. They are stronger, faster, and more aggressive than any Confederation species. We humans know something about being predators too, said Taehyun grimly. The Voracian ship fired first. The Resilient shook as energy blasts hit its shields. Shields at 60%, reported Officer Han. They're trying to disable us, not destroy us. They want to board, said Rex. To hunt the crew in person. It's what they enjoy. Taehyun turned to Shono. Arm all security teams. Prepare for boarders. Rex looked at the calm, determined faces around him. These humans weren't panicking. They were preparing to fight. You don't know what you're facing, he said. Science Officer Juwoo looked up from her station. Then tell us, so we can be ready. They stand twice as tall as your largest humans. Their armor is part of their bodies. Their claws can cut through metal. And they hunt in perfect coordination. Chunho checked his weapon. Good to know. The ship rocked again as another blast hit. Shields at 30%, called Han. Rex watched the humans move with purpose, not fear. For the first time since the attack on his own ship, he felt something new. Hope. Get ready, said Taehyun as a loud thump echoed through the hull. They're here. The conference room was quiet. Yeonjae stood at the front, her fingers sliding across the holographic display. Around her, the top military leaders of Earth watched with a mix of confusion and hope. She had a plan. A crazy plan that might just work against the Void Rippers. These creatures hunt by logic, Yeonji explained, her voice calm and clear. They process information like a computer. But humans, we don't always make sense. And that's our biggest weapon. She pulled up images of the previous battles. The Void Rippers moved in perfect patterns, each movement calculated with machine-like precision. They would approach a target, analyze its defenses, and then attack with deadly efficiency. Every previous civilization had tried to fight them with standard military tactics. Every previous civilization had been destroyed. We're going to break their brain, Wu Jin muttered from the back of the room. He was the lead military strategist, a man who had spent years studying alien warfare. Yeonji nodded. Her plan was simple but insane. They would create scenarios that made no logical sense to the Void Rippers. Military units would be instructed to do things that went against all standard combat protocols. Soldiers would be told to retreat when they should attack, to attack when they should retreat. They would send decoy signals that made no strategic sense. The first test came sooner than expected. A Void Ripper attack group approached a human defensive position on the planet's outer colony. Normally, such an approach would mean certain death for the human defenders. But this time was different. As the Void Rippers came closer, the human units began to move in what looked like complete chaos. Tanks drove in circles. Infantry units split up and ran in different directions. Communication signals became a jumbled mess of contradictory instructions. The Void Rippers stopped. Their hunting algorithms couldn't process what they were seeing. Every other species they had encountered followed predictable patterns. Defend. Attack. Retreat. But these humans, they were doing something else entirely. One Void Ripper scout unit tried to analyze the human movements. Its advanced brain, capable of processing millions of calculations per second, began to overheat. The patterns made no sense. There was no logic, no reason. In the command center, Yeonji watched the live feed. A small smile crossed her face. Confusion is a weapon, she said softly. The human units were actually following a complex plan. Each seemingly random movement was carefully choreographed. But to the Void Rippers, it looked like complete madness. And madness was something their logical minds could not understand. More Void Ripper units arrived. They too became confused. Their hunting patterns broke down. For the first time in their known history, the galaxy's deadliest predators were experiencing something close to fear. Wu Jin approached Yeonji. How long can we keep this up? he asked. Long enough, she replied. Humans invented psychological warfare. We wrote the book on making our enemies question everything they know. The battle was changing. No longer was it about who had the biggest guns or the strongest armor. It was now a battle of minds. And humans were about to show the galaxy that their minds were their most dangerous weapon. Outside, the Void Rippers continued to struggle, their perfect hunting machine slowly grinding to a halt, defeated not by force, but by something they could never understand: human unpredictability. 3 days after arriving at Nexus Station, the crew of the Resilience gathered in a large meeting room. The walls showed moving stars, making it feel like they were still in space. Captain Taeyun stood with Rex and Director Caleb at the front. "We need to understand our enemy better," said Taeyun. "What do we know about the Voracians?" Caleb touched a control panel, and a large image appeared in the center of the room. It showed a tall, mantis-like creature with 4 arms and natural armor plating. The Voracians evolved on a world with 6 intelligent species, Caleb explained. They were the only ones to survive. They ate or enslaved the others. Jumu leaned forward. They evolved alongside other thinking species. That's rare. Yes, said Rex. Most worlds produce only 1 intelligent species. The Voracians' home planet was unusual. They had to compete against others who could also make tools and plan ahead. So they're predators who evolved to hunt other intelligent beings, said Juno, his face grim. That explains their behavior during the attack. They weren't just trying to kill us. They were playing with us. Caleb nodded. Hunting is central to their culture. They value the chase as much as the kill. They rate other species by how challenging they are to hunt. And how do they rate humans? Asked Minji. We don't know yet, said Caleb. You're the first humans they've encountered. But based on your success in driving them off, they likely see you as worthy prey. Taehyun frowned. We're not prey. That's just it, said Ju suddenly. Maybe that's why they fear us. We don't act like prey when cornered. We fight back. We adapt. We use our environment. A prey species that doesn't behave like prey, mused Rex. That would confuse them. The room fell silent as everyone considered this idea. Then an alarm sounded, making them all jump. A blue-skinned alien rushed into the room. Director, long-range sensors have detected Voracian ships gathering at the edge of this sector. Many ships. Caleb's face darkened. How many? At least 30, with more arriving. The humans exchanged worried glances. Caleb turned to the room. The council must meet immediately. This is the largest Voracian fleet we've ever detected. As the aliens hurried out, Taeyun gathered his crew. This can't be a coincidence, he said. They're planning something big, and I bet it involves us. Or Earth, said Juno quietly. Minji crossed her arms. Earth doesn't even know about aliens yet. They have no defenses against a space attack. Then we need to warn them, said Taeyun, and help the Confederation understand what the Voracians are planning. Hours later, the Confederation Council was in chaos. Representatives argued loudly about what to do. Some wanted to send ships to meet the Voracian fleet. Others wanted to hide and wait. This is getting us nowhere, Taeyun whispered to Ju. Director Caleb raised his hands for quiet. We need more information before we can act. We need to know what the Voracians are planning. Then let us find out, said Taeyun, standing up. All eyes turned to him. My crew has already faced Voracians and survived. We volunteer to gather intelligence on their plans. Murmurs filled the room. Caleb looked thoughtful. A small ship might get close without being noticed, he said, but it would be very dangerous. Danger is part of our job, said Taeyun. A tall, insect-like alien stepped forward. I am General Traz of the Confederation Defense Force. If you are serious about this mission, Captain Kim, my people will help. Later, as they left the council chamber, Juno caught up with Taeyun. Captain, are you sure about this? We barely escaped the last time we met Voracians. "Unsure of one thing," said Taeyen grimly. "If the Voratians are building a fleet, Earth could be their target. And I can't let them attack our home without warning." On the other side of the station, in a quiet laboratory, Juwu was studying Voratian biology samples with alien scientists. "Interesting," she said, looking through a microscope. "Their cells are different from ours, but they have similarities to Earth insects." "What are you looking for?" asked a scientist. Juwu smiled slightly. "Weaknesses. Everyone has them. Even the galaxy's deadliest hunters." The research facility looked nothing like a normal laboratory. It was a massive complex built from the remains of the Void Ripper's destroyed ships. Min-Ki walked between rows of containment tanks, each one holding a different piece of the alien creatures they had defeated. "We're not just studying them," he said to the team of scientists around him. "We're learning how to become something more." After the battle, everything had changed. The human scientists had been given access to technology and biological samples that no other species had ever touched. The Void Rippers, once the most feared predators in the galaxy, were now nothing more than research subjects. Hai-1, the lead xenobiologist, carefully examined a sample of Void Ripper tissue. Her hands moved slowly, methodically. Each movement was calculated. Each observation was precise. The alien biology was complex, but humans had always been good at solving complex problems. "Look at this," she called out, pointing to a holographic display. "Their regenerative capabilities are beyond anything we've ever seen. If we can understand this, we could revolutionize medical technology." The facility was a symbol of human potential. Where other species would have destroyed the Void Rippers completely, humans chose to study them, to learn from them, to become better. Min-Ki walked to another section of the lab. Here, engineers were already designing new technologies based on what they had learned. Adaptive armor that could heal itself, communication systems that could predict and counter enemy strategies, weapons that could think. "We're not just copying," he explained to a group of junior researchers. "We're improving. We're taking what exists and making it better." Outside the facility, the galaxy was watching. The Galactic Confederation had sent observers. They expected to see humans seeking revenge. Instead, they saw something far more terrifying: pure, unbridled curiosity. Jae-sung, the diplomatic representative, gave interviews to galactic news networks. His message was clear and simple. "We're not here to destroy," he would say. "We're here to understand." But underneath that calm exterior, there was something else. A hunger, a drive to push beyond current limits. The humans had defeated the galaxy's deadliest predators. Now they wanted to know why. In another part of the complex, Sung-ho worked with military researchers. He was no longer just a pilot. Now he was part scientist, part strategist. The lines between military and research had blurred completely. "Every piece of technology we create," he told his team, "comes from understanding our enemy completely." They were developing new space drive technologies based on the Void Ripper's movement patterns, creating communication systems that mimicked the creature's neural networks, building weapons that could think and adapt faster than any computer ever made. Wu Jin watched from an observation room. He had been the strategic mind behind their victory. Now he was watching something even more important: transformation. "We're not just a species anymore," he said softly to Yunji, who stood beside him. "We're becoming something else entirely." The Void Rippers had come to destroy. Instead, they had given humanity the greatest gift possible: a chance to evolve, a chance to become something more than anyone could have imagined. As the sun set outside the research facility, human scientists continued their work. They were no longer just studying an alien species. They were rewriting the rules of what was possible in the universe.